That's totally good. It's also recording. Okay, cool. So this is the Rotary Journey speaker panel. It's hosted by the Universal Board of Rotaract Club. And I'll go into the next slide. So one of your hosts is me. My name's Allison Benson. I'm the Rotaract Interact Chair. I'm in my third year with Bachelor of Science, double majoring in Psych and Bio. And this is my fifth year in Rotary, and I started in Interact. And then I'll let Nina introduce herself.
Thanks, Allison. Hi, everyone. My name is Nina Young. I'm the Rotaract Interact Officer for this year. I'm a first-year student in Honors Physiology here at the U of A. I started my Rotary journey also in Interact, and I'm very excited to hear everyone else's experience.
Okay, so this is just kind of how this event's going to go today. So first, we're going to hear from Pollyann, which is the current Universal Alberta Rotaract president. Then we'll go into Kate Debenham, who is a past Universal Alberta Rotaract president. Then we'll go and hear from Brent Collingwood, who's a District 5370 governor-elect. And at the very end, we'll have about 10 minutes to ask the speakers any questions from the presentations. So I will stop sharing and I'll let Pollyann start.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Allison. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm just gonna share my thing. Okay, perfect. And sorry, I can't tell. Is the controls kind of like blocking any of my slides?
No, it's all good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. I'll get started my presentation then. So as Allison mentioned, my name is Pollyann Cadilia, and I'm the current president of the University of Alberta Rotaract Club. I see some new faces online, so I'm just gonna quickly give you some fun facts about me, just so we can have a more familiarized environment online. So I'm a third-year student at the University of Alberta. I'm currently pursuing a psychology degree, and being a third year, I'm almost done, so I'm really excited about that. I was born and raised in the Philippines, lived there for 12 years before I immigrated to Canada, specifically Fort St. John, British Columbia in 2014. And I have been a member of Rotary for 6 years, and I'm very excited to add many, many more years to that because Rotary has been such an amazing experience so far. Okay, so when Allison asked me to speak for this session, so she asked me 4 questions, and those are, what is my Rotary story? What does Rotary mean to me? What are my future goals, and how will or has Rotary helped me achieve them? And then what is my advice to other students in Rotary, whether that be interactors or Rotaractors? So I'll begin by telling you my Rotary story. So before I tell you about how I actively got involved with Rotary, I want to share like a little background about how I knew about Rotary. So as I mentioned, I grew up in the Philippines, lived there for 12 years. And I didn't know this at the time, but the Philippines is actually plastered with Rotary. So I remember like back in my hometown, I would see like these Rotary like statues, like mini statues everywhere. And, being 8 years old, I would just like look at them and being like, oh, like that's a really pretty logo. Like they're really pretty statue. Like I wonder what that is. But being 8 years old, I didn't really care to like learn about what Rotary or what that organization was. I was just more focused on like how pretty the logo looked. So when I first got introduced to the Interact Club, the Fort St. John Interact Club, and that logo popped up, I was like, this is like a whiplash moment for me because I was like, that logo is actually my childhood because I saw it everywhere in the Philippines. Not suggesting that I joined Rotary because of the logo, but I just thought it was a really funny like moment where it was like, oh, I actually already know about this. So yeah. So I joined the Fort St. John Interact Club in November 2017. So that was in my grade 10 year. The same year, I was voluntold, emphasized and voluntold to be the club vice president. Another funny story about this, I didn't actually know I was the vice president of the club till like a month before the school year ended, because otherwise I would have politely declined the opportunity, which I will tell you guys more about later. But yeah, that same year, I also had amazing opportunities in terms of traveling with Rotary. So they sent me to Riley, which is the Rotary Youth Leadership Experience. And I had the prestigious opportunity to attend the International Peace and Environmental Sustainability Conference in Vancouver, and heard some amazing speakers such as Dr. David Suzuki, met some amazing, leaders, Rotarians from around the world. And yeah, that was just a really life-changing opportunity for me. Moving on to the next year, I became the club president for the Fort St. John Interact Club, and it was a really fun year, but it was also a really scary experience for me because, this was my second year in Interact, and I had absolutely no experience with leadership and public speaking and like teamwork and all that. So it was a really scary experience just overall. But as time progressed, I got more comfortable in my own shoes. And, with the support of the amazing Rotarians from the Fort St. John Rotary clubs and having such a fun and supportive, encouraging environment from my NTRAC club, we were able to move forward productively and efficiently. And we were just having a lot of time and, helping the community,
Wow.
having fun. Oh, sorry. There's someone. Okay.
Hi.
And then that same year as well, I attended other Rotary youth programs such as Ripen, which is the photo above. And I also got to travel to Ottawa to participate in Adventures in Citizenship, where I got to learn more about, the history of Canada and the culture of Canada. And fun fact, I actually got to sit in like Justin Trudeau's seat at the Parliament. So that was really cool. Also a highlight of my high school year. In 2019 and 2020, this was my last year of Interact. I became the international director for a club. So in my year as international director, I teamed up with the Rotary Club in Eastern Canada, and I believe some states from the United States. And we collaborated and fundraised thousands of dollars for the Guatemala Literacy Project, which is an initiative to send children to school in Guatemala. So that was a really cool experience. And the same year, I was also chosen to become our club's Rotary Youth Exchange students. And I was meant to, be sent off to Brazil. But, as you guys remember, 2020 was the year for COVID. And unfortunately, there was no way to work with traveling for COVID. So that unfortunately got canceled. And of course, I was bummed out, really looking forward to it. But I just decided to look at the brighter side. And that was to, move forward with my experience in Rotary and join Rotaract. And that is exactly what I did the summer when I graduated high school. So I joined Rotaract in June 2020. So quite young. I was 17. So I think the minimum age for Rotaract was 18. But I was just so eager to, continue on with Rotary because I had such an amazing time. So I joined Rotaract actually through their Instagram page. I just messaged them being like, hey, I'm like interested in participating in Rotaract. How can I join? And, of course, with everything being online, it was very convenient at the time. So they just sent me Zoom links and, I just joined every week and it was super fun. Made my first year of remote learning a lot more fun and a lot more motivating because, even though I was doing university online, I always looked forward to joining on Zoom every Wednesday to work with like-minded leaders and, just get to know them a little bit more and feel so inspired by them. So yeah, that was my first year. And that same year, I was the Poverty and Food Insecurity Committee co-lead so that, I got to work on my leadership skills through that. Last year, in my second year, I became secretary. And right now I am the president of our amazing club. And I love every second of it. I love watching my fellow club members thrive in the environment that we provide for them. It's just a really rewarding experience. So yeah. So moving on to what Rotary means to me, I could honestly sit here and just tell you guys all about how much I love Rotary and how much I love being a part of it. But, you guys don't have all day. So I just decided to combine them into 4 words. And those 4 words are community, fellowship, growth, and reciprocal services. So we'll start off with community. So, as most of us join Rotary because of the sense of community, whether that be providing like that sense of community to those who need that, like the less fortunate in our community, just creating that like benefit for them. We want to help our community, we want to build our community and just overall help people and providing that sense of community for our club members so that we can, be a group of like-minded leaders who have one goal, and that's, service above self. So that's community. The second point is fellowship. My favorite part about Rotary is, well, aside from, the fact that I get to help people, is also fellowship. I have met most of my amazing friends through Rotary, whether that be Interact or Rotaract. The middle photo is a photo of me and my executive members, and I absolutely love working with them. And, the left photo of me, of Jennifer Jones and Brent, fellowship in terms of like networking and connecting with them and just establishing those connections. And yeah, it's really cool to collaborate.
Because the world has done big studies on it and they go after a year, it's done.
And then
No
the
one has a
photo
problem.
on the right.
I think you can
Um,
mute everybody
You do,
from
it's
the
all in
host.
your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all in her head, and she probably never had anything wrong with her, but anything to get attention.
Allison, I
I
think
don't have
as
the access
host,
to
you can
do
mute,
it.
you can mute everybody.
But yeah, you might be able to.
sorry, just give me 1 second. Okay, there. Okay, perfect. So the photo on the right is a photo of me hugging our Rotary Youth Exchange inbound student from France. And that was her leaving for France at the airport. And we were all sad because we were like, oh, like, how dare you leave us? Like, how dare you only spend a year with us? And, you know, it's just really amazing how Rotary sends people from around the world to everywhere and, you know, give them the opportunity to create fellowship opportunities with people around the world and, you know, establish those connections with them. Because, you know, I met Carla, who's the Rotary exchange student in that photo, like in my grade 11 year, 4 years ago, and we still talk. And it's just so crazy how Rotary really, truly connects the world. And moving on to growth. So this is my favorite story to tell people in Rotary, and why I love being a part of Rotary is because of the immense opportunity to grow as a person and as a leader. So when I first joined Rotary, like 6 years ago in grade 10, I was a very shy and very non-confident person. And I remember saying this at the district conference, and Brent actually scoffed at this because he was like, I don't believe you. But yeah, I was very shy and I was very much in my own personal bubble. And if you had told me 6 years ago, like this little Pollyann 6 years ago, that, hey, you're actually going to be public speaking and, you know, leading your Rotaract club, which comprises of like, you know, 124 members, like I think I actually would have cried 6 years ago because I could never imagine myself in that position. I was not confident in my skills. I don't think I could ever do it, but Rotary changed that for me by attending like the programs that they've provided for me. I, you know, realized that, you know, I wasn't really confident back then, but, you know, if I just put myself out there and participate in programs that they offer me, I'm able to grow. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm really grateful for Rotary because of that, because it's given me so many amazing opportunities, such as like, you know, speaking at the district conference last year, or, you know, public speaking in front of my graduating class when they voted me as class historian. And of course, there's other opportunities for growth as well, such as like leadership and like, you know, like collaborating with people and all that. And last thing for me is reciprocal services. So when we join Rotary, I find that we join Rotary because we want to provide service for other people. And yes, that is true. We do help a lot of people and we do that a lot. But I think people often don't notice this, but I find that Rotary actually also helps us in a way. And, you know, just like the last 3 slides that I've said, it's like, you know, they help us by providing us growth opportunities and opportunities for fellowship and, you know, just opportunities to just like live a more abundant life. And yeah, so I think that's really cool about Rotary, how you're helping others and Rotary also helps you. And, you know, in the photo on the left, this was in my grade 12 year, I got recognized for my work through Rotary and my volunteer work, and I was awarded Youth of the Year award. And, you know, I don't think I would be able to achieve that without the work of Rotary. So I'm really, really grateful for that opportunity. Okay, so moving on to future goals and how Rotary will/has helped me achieve them. So as you guys know, I'm in my 3rd year of my bachelor's degree. So my first goal is, you know, to complete my bachelor's degree in psychology. And after that, potentially get some work experience, whether that be a government sector job or like a nonprofit. But at the end of the day, my goal is to go to law school and pursue a Juris Doctorate and practice family law or human rights law. And I believe that Rotary has helped me pursue my academic endeavors by, well, first of all, by giving me the opportunities for growth and, you know, helping me become the person that I am today. But I'm also very grateful for the Rotary clubs of Fort St. John, who I believe actually, Connie from Fort St. John Rotary is on this call right now. Hi, Connie. But yeah, like their clubs helped me pursue my academic endeavors by providing me scholarships and bursaries and all that. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity. And as I mentioned, there was a lot of growth in my experience with Rotary. So the skills that Rotary has provided for me include leadership, public speaking, communication, teamwork, networking, analytical thinking, and many more. And I'm sure that I will, as the more I get involved with Rotary, the more I will develop a lot more skills. So I'm really looking forward to whatever Rotary will help me out on. So my advice to students in Rotary, do not be afraid to take the opportunities that speak to you, take advantage of them. There's a reason why they're being offered to you on the table in front of you. And, don't be afraid to take them, because even though you're like, oh, like, I don't know if like I'm good enough for that opportunity, it's like, you don't know that until you try it out. So yeah, just take every opportunity that is being handed to you, because you don't know what you could get out of it. And the next advice is to put yourself out there, to get yourself known and get to know others. Yeah, networking is such an important asset in today's society. So don't be afraid to put yourself in the spotlight, even though it's like uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and yeah, just develop such a big, circle of connections, because that will really help you at the end of the day. And I also added like a little bonus advice here for Rotarians. Never hesitate to invest in the youth, because we have so much potential to give you, and we are your future. If the Fort St. John Rotary Clubs never saw the potential that they had, that I had in me, I don't think I would have been the person that I am today. So I'm really grateful that they saw the potential in me and, gave me the opportunity to grow, because otherwise I would not be here today and speaking about my Rotary experience to you guys. So yeah, that is it for me.
That was so great, Pollyann. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, I believe we're doing Q&A after all the sessions. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. If Kate wants to get ready to present, you can start whenever.
Awesome, thanks. All right, can everyone see?
Yes.
Cool. I am very excited to be speaking to you all today. My name is Kate Debenham. I am the past president of the University of Alberta Rotaract Club, and the current president, actually, as of the 1st of January, of the Rotaract Club of Edmonton. So still very much involved in Rotaract. And also, Pollyann, your presentation was so good. Like, I was like, I feel like you. So I'm very excited to get to go after you. Yeah, so talk a little bit about myself, I guess, first. So I graduated from the UofA in 2019. I'll talk a little bit more about my degree later. And right now I'm working as a server in a restaurant, actually. So, and I wrote down, I think I've been part of Rotaract or Interact for 8 years, but over a 10-year span. I took a 2-year break, and I'll kind of talk through how I got back into it from taking a break between Interact and Rotaract. Yeah, and also I play guitar, I have a dog and a lot of roommates. I have 4 roommates. My roommates have cats. Life's good. Yeah. So I'll tell you guys a little bit more about my journey. So I started Interact in 2012 when I was in grade 11. And I was always like really involved in leadership when I was a young person. It was something that I picked up from going to a summer camp, a leadership summer camp. And so I was part of student council. And then through that, I found my way into Interact. Yeah, and this is the only picture that I could find. This was on the internet from my Interact club, but these are some of my members when I was in Interact for those 2 years in high school. And yeah, I'm from Stony Plain, and it was a pretty good time. I wasn't like super involved in leadership in the club, but I did get an opportunity to help out with some garden projects and projects with our Rotary Club, and we were in the parade one year. So yeah, Interact was like something that was important to me, but wasn't something that I really saw as kind of like a path forward into university. I can't really explain why, just maybe I didn't even know about Rotaract potentially. I can't remember, but all I know is when I started university in 2014, I didn't go into Rotaract, and I regret that so much because I think I was at a career fair or a clubs fair in 2016, and I saw the logo again, just like Pollyanna did, and I was like, I know that logo. I was a part of Interact. And I talked to the people at the table and I was like, oh, aha, this is where I'm meant to be, because my first 2 years of university, I just felt like there was something missing. Like school was really fun. I was really enjoying like what I was learning, but I was missing that like social aspect. I was missing that volunteer aspect. All of those things that I used to do in high school that I loved, they weren't there, and they were in Rotaract. So yeah, September of 2016, I joined the University of Alberta Rotaract Club. Best thing I ever did. Like, oh my gosh, amazing. I love this club so much. Like, this club has done like so many things for me. Like, and is still going strong and is amazing. So I was part of a couple of committees, and I was a committee lead my second semester of that year. I helped with a lot of projects. And then after that, I was the president. I was the president-elect, and then I was the president of the club. And then after I graduated university, I joined the Rotaract Club of Edmonton. I remember being part of the UofA club kind of like up until I graduated, and I was like, I'm never going to leave this club. I love this club so much. And then there was something about being with my peers that were also dealing with like going into the workforce and finding like their job and dealing with all these things that aren't the same as the people in university. And I love my club now. This is the second time I've been president of it, been a part of it for, oh my goodness, like almost 4 years, 3 years. We got through COVID together. We're small but mighty, and we're a community club. So we aren't attached to any institution like the University of Alberta Rotaract Club is. But yeah, we have a lot of fun. This is us at the food bank. So you can tell how excited I was by my first month or a couple of months at the UofA club, because I made a whole slide about it. So the picture at the top here, this is my very first meeting. And I was like, oh my God, this is so fun. There's food here. These people are so nice. They talk to me. And then this is the first event, which is the very first year that we had Consent Carnival. Back in 2016, it was a passion project by some of our members. And it was like really cool to like be involved with that and like help make the signage for the first time and like figure out how the event was going to be laid out. So it was really cool. I got to go back to Consent Carnival this year and see how awesome it is. And then tree planting with some of my new friends. So there's something really special about being involved in a group and being like, this is a community I want to be part of. I feel welcome immediately. I like can see myself spending like every week with these people. And that's what I felt like joining Rotaract. I had so much fun looking through all the pictures. So these are some pictures. We went Halloween, like trick-or-treating one year for food for the food bank. This was like kind of like a Christmas celebration, I think, one year with a bunch of our closer Rotaract members. We did a little social where we made sock puppets one time. And then this is a Rotary conference that I got to help out with one year. So just like all the different experiences that were open to me as being involved in the club, whether or not I was president, is amazing. Like all the things you get to say yes to, and also learning that it's okay to say no to things in Rotaract too, is really fun, is really awesome. These are a couple of favorite pictures of mine. We used to do this thing where we would do like an awkward family photo. So we were part of the Campus Cup one year. And we took this like very lovely awkward photo, and we were not good at dodgeball. Like it was like embarrassing. And then this was actually an opportunity that was really cool. This was after I graduated, actually, I got to go to this conference, the Big West Rotaract Conference in Vancouver, which is like through the UofA Club too. And that was a really cool opportunity. And now about my club. So yeah, we're small but mighty. We're about 10 people. And this was a bottle drive we did last year to help kind of raise money for the war in Ukraine when it first started. So that was pretty fun, a great opportunity for us to like chat and enjoy ourselves. Like I said, we survived COVID. It was a lot sometimes to have such a small group, but it was really nice to like get to like chat and learn things from each other over Zoom. It was pretty fun. And I'm happy that we get to be in person now. And yeah, we volunteer at the food bank. We volunteer at the Green and Gold Gardens. We do a lot of like really fun stuff. So my club is like still a huge important part of my life. And yeah, I don't know what I would do without Rotaract. And along with Rotaract comes other things. So I've got to speak at conferences before. I've been involved in Riley. So this was a year that we took a picture at the Rotary Youth Leadership Experience, which is a camp that you can get involved with. And then here is a social that we did between a bunch of Rotaract clubs one year. And I'm also on the Rotaract district committee right now too, where we kind of advocate for Rotaractors around the district. So being part of Rotaract and Interact doesn't mean that you're limited to your club. There's so many other things that you can do and get involved with. Like I said, the opportunities are like pretty endless. So it's a pretty good time. Yeah, and then in terms of like what Rotary means to me, kind of like Pollyann said, it means just like just about everything. Like I feel like my personality is very much in line with Rotaract. Like community and being part of a group where people say yes to what you want to do and you have the opportunity to bring your projects forward and make things happen, like having a really real opportunity to make a difference. I know I already talked about Consent Carnival, but there's being part of a club where like you get to see something start and then see something continue without you needing to be there, because the people that are there when you're there and then in the future doing your project are so meaningful, and they like understand where you were coming from with the idea, and they completely connect with it, even if you're not there, like, you know, kind of leading the project along. So I think Consent Carnival, at least for the UofA club, is a great representation of that. Yeah, I also think that Rotaract has provided me a lot of balance in my life, if that makes sense. Just the idea that yes, I have a job, and yes, I have school, and yes, I have my social commitments and my volunteerism that I do on my own. But like Rotaract is this constant thing that is around me all the time, that is encouraging me to get out there and like not always be in my house and like go skating and just connect with people and have like a really good time. And I think having it in my life constantly is such a nice reminder of like what I really need. Even like the days where you're having like a rough day and you're like, I don't want to leave my house. And then you go and you do something with Rotaract and you're like, oh, I did need to leave. That was like the perfect thing for me in that moment. And I think being involved in Rotaract is that for me. Yeah. So I love it very, very much. My degree, I did a degree at the University of Alberta in 5 years. So from 2014 to 2019. With a major in microbiology, well, a major in biology, and I focused mainly on microbiology, and a minor in psychology. It was a really interesting program. I loved it a lot. And I don't work in the field. And I think a little bit of that comes from the fact that when I was involved in Rotaract, I realized that I'm a people person, and I realized that maybe my career path or the type of jobs that I do might not be like perfectly in line with what my degree was. And that's okay. Like, I wish someone told me that when I was 18, that you can do a degree and it doesn't have to define the rest of your life. And I'm confident to say like my degree in biology does not define the rest of my life, but it was awesome. And I learned a lot of cool stuff, but I've kind of like found a different path for myself a little bit, or I am finding a different path for myself. So I've done 4 jobs since I graduated. Right now I work at a pizzeria. I've been there for about 3 months. It's really fun. I get to talk to people every day. I feel happy when I go to work. I feel energized when I go to work. That's what I want. That's what I want in a job. That is so important to me. And I've done a lot of jobs like the ones that I'll talk about here, but also other jobs that have been tiring and have been not what was right for me in that moment. and knowing what I really want out of a job is really important. And I think is something that I learned from Rotaract, because I get to have so much fun in Rotaract. Why don't I get to have so much fun in my job? But I've had a lot of other cool experiences that Rotaract has set me up for. So I worked in cooperative housing for on and off for about 3.5 years, both on the nonprofit side of a company and the for-profit side of a company. It was great being able to like learn about housing, learn about the cooperative housing model specifically, and then also like I was a member coordinator. So I got to talk to people on the phone. I got to engage them in understanding their needs from their housing provider. And yeah, and just be like a supportive, friendly person, which is like who I am and who I am like through Rotaract as well. Then after that, I worked for the census for the census season. So the census is basically when the government needs to know about people, know how many people there are, and know certain information about them to help provide services and, you know, have hospitals and schools in certain areas. So I went door to door and I was like, hello, who are you? You haven't filled out your census yet. Let me help you. And so another like people facing, really fun job that was like really meaningful to me in terms of like what I was able to achieve, and was also a cool way to like meet people and help motivate them to do something that they had to do. Yeah, and then most recently, I worked as a volunteer coordinator in Sherwood Park. I did mainly seniors programming. So basically I spent my time talking to seniors on the phone, seeing what kind of help they needed with things, and then finding a volunteer to help them with that service, be it grocery shopping, be it walking their dog, be it, yeah, kind of you name it, we tried to help them out. And that is the closest thing I've ever done to getting paid for Rotaract. It was awesome. Like it was so fun to be able to like do this volunteer coordinating that I got to do as part of Rotaract as a job. And yeah, it was like such a fun time. It was just a temporary position, but yeah, so like that's kind of me working towards finding something that made me like really happy to do it. And a lot of the skills that I learned through Rotaract, like with organization and stuff, I really got to use at that job. And yeah, I got paid for it, which is wild. Then in terms of like what Rotaract has taught me and how I've grown in Rotaract, my public speaking skills have improved like so much. Kind of in the same way as Pollyann, I wasn't necessarily like a super quiet person, but I was like not the first one to talk. And yeah, just being like part of Rotaract, taking on a leadership role means that like you're able to just kind of say things and make people feel comfortable and like talk and get out there and say stuff. And yeah, I think like being able to public speak is like helpful in any job you could ever have and any life path you could ever have. And yeah, and it's fun to just be able to like be comfortable and have conversations with people. It's good to be able to learn how to be a leader. Rotaract basically opens up every door for you to be a leader, and all you have to say is, I'd like to do that. And then you get a, absolutely, you can certainly like apply for that position or get in there and help people like get to work towards their goals or work towards like what project they want to have. So yeah, and then apart from that, like I think collaboration and empathy are two like words that I use in my everyday life because of Rotaract. Like in Rotary, you talk to interactors, Rotaractors and Rotarians, you talk to the people you're volunteering with, you talk to people at like the university who you're looking to put a project through. Like you learn all the different ways that people work and you can use that in your life. And I don't know, I think being able to empathize with people who are having a rough day, or a student that's really busy and needs to take a step back from their work, or a friend that maybe doesn't have time to hang out with you, or a coworker that, you know, maybe said something not the kindest to you because of something that's going on in their life. Dealing with empathy with every little interaction I have is something that I use on a daily basis, and is definitely something I learned through Rotaract. So yeah, and then in terms of advice, I would just say like, be brave. Don't be so hard on yourself to the point that you think that you can't do something that someone else is doing. It was my dream to be a president of Rotaract, and someone told me that I should do it. And so I did it. But you don't, even if someone's not telling you that you should take a leadership role, you should believe in yourself and like know that you can do it. And even if you're not like certain exactly how it's going to go, it's going to go great because you care enough to take on that leadership position and be that person that's going to guide people and be a listening ear and help them with their projects. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. And also talk to someone. That's like one of my favorite things ever now. When I go into a room, I want to create fellowship with people. So I go into a room and I'm like, hello. And I just go up to one person. I'm like, how's it going? What, like one of my favorite questions to ask is, what do you love? And then it's a great way to get to know someone, make them feel comfortable, make yourself feel comfortable. You've got a friend, you could do that at your first Rotaract meeting. You could do that your first day at work. You could do that at a conference. Yeah, so I would definitely say like everyone's looking for human connection, and Rotaract is like an amazing way to find that community and integrate volunteerism into your life. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much. That was so great. It was so nice to hear your story. Okay, if Brent would like to go set up his presentation.
Can definitely do that.
Awesome, thank you.
Just a sec, sorry. Oh, that's not gonna work, just a sec, sorry. There it is.
Oh, good.
There we go. So I'll apologize a little bit. We're displaced from our home because we had a flood, so I didn't have access to a lot of photos. So mine's more text than photographs. But nonetheless, thank you both, Keith and Pollyann. That was amazing. I'm so excited and thrilled to be here and listening to your stories, because this really warms my heart to hear these young people that have so much interest and enthusiasm and energy for Rotary and Rotaract. So part of the questions that were asked is just kind of giving my journey in Rotary. And so first of all, I'd just like to talk about, why did I join Rotary? Well, I joined Rotary because we were away. We lived overseas as expats for several years. And I had lost my network moving away from Edmonton. I was gone for over 7 years. So quite by accident, my wife and I were invited to a Rotary Club president handover dinner. This was a very common practice. A lady named Judy Harcourt invited us. And by the way, she was the first female governor in our district. And she invited my wife and I to this dinner. And we went to this dinner and went, wow, I really like these people. They're a blast. They're great camaraderie, great humor. And I said to myself, these are people I want to hang out with, because they were just so much fun to be a part of. And so in a nutshell, I wanted to rebuild my network and build friendships with people who were service oriented. And for me, the Riverview Rotary Club was the perfect fit. And I'm a quarter century Rotarian now. I joined in, I think it was 98, and coming up to my 25th year in Rotary. So got in and loved it and have been here ever since. So often the question we get asked is not just why did we join Rotary, why did we stay in Rotary? And so I stay in Rotary because of the incredible local and international work that Rotary does around the world. It is the best vehicle for serving your community, whether it's local, down the street, or across the globe. It is the best vehicle to serve the world. I stay for the lifelong friends that I've created within and beyond Rotary work. I stay to give back to my community and to give back to Rotary, because as Keith reported, Rotary has given me a lot. And so this is a way for me to give back with all the wonderful friendships that I've generated through Rotary. And I stay because I want to expand my influence and reach within the Rotary world. And that's why I put my name forward to be your district governor in 2023-24. So it asks some of the various roles that I've served. So throughout my Rotary journey, I've served in many capacities. I was the club president in 2004-05, which happened to be the centennial year of Rotary. Rotary was formed in 1905 by Paul Harris. And Pollyann, another very interesting thing about that is Bruce Christensen, who was from the Fort St. John Rotary Club, was the district governor that year. And we had our district conference in Fort St. John. So we all traveled up there. So that was a real blast to do that. I was the district foundation chair from 2011 to 13. And I set a very ambitious goal. And for the first time in our district's history, we raised over 300,000 for the annual fund. And I'm not sure if you're aware of the formula of how it works, but we get just under half of whatever money is raised at any given year. 3 years later, we get half of that money back for what's determined or what's called a district designated funds. And we as a district and you as a club have a say in how those dollars are utilized. I was the chair of the Learning and Development Committee from 2014 to 17. And this committee used to be called the Training Committee. Oh, sorry, I got some words in there, but I did not like that word, and therefore I changed it to Learning and Development. And then lastly, I'm your district governor-elect this year. When you're selected to go into the governor's stream, you serve first as a district governor nominee, then you serve as district governor-elect, then you serve as the governor, and then you serve as the immediate past district governor. So when you sign on, it is a 4-year commitment that you're committing to. Some of the things about me and Rotary: I am a major donor, and a major donor is this little triangle over here, and that signifies that you've given a minimum of $10,000 to the Rotary Foundation. I'm also a Paul Harris Fellow and a Paul Harris Society member. The Paul Harris Society is a commitment to give $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation every year. And I'm also a Bequest Society member, and that's this little logo right here, this round one. And that signifies that you've left money in your will to Rotary Foundation when you're no longer here. So that's a little bit more about me with Rotary. What does Rotary mean to me? It means fellowship, it means integrity, it means community service, it means global service, and it means responsiveness. And several of you have talked about the Ukraine response and how quickly we've done that. When disaster strikes through Shelter Box, Rotary is there with working with Canadian Red Cross. So we're a very responsive organization. Let me tell you a very quick story, and I'll tell you a little bit more about this. I just got back from Orlando, where we met the new international president, and he talked about being in Thailand when the tsunami hit, and how Rotary jumped in and helped rebuild communities that were completely washed away from that tsunami. So we're very responsive to the needs of both our local communities and our international communities. How has Rotary helped me succeed? Networking. Pollyanna and I, great minds think alike. We both use the same photo. Back this summer in July, the Rotary International President is Canadian and the first female ever international president of Rotary. And she did a cross-Canada tour and came to Edmonton. And we did a tree planting project and with the Rotaract Club and several of the Rotary clubs. And there's Pollyanna and myself and Jennifer Jones in that picture. This is also a picture we took. We did a large event reception for the international president here. And the gentleman in the middle, the RCMP officer, is a Rotarian from Grand Prairie. And he was also on a study exchange. And Nick Krajcik is Jennifer Jones's wife, so myself, my wife, at the Selkirk Hotel in Fort Edmonton Park. So the most amazing people that you meet through Rotary that you would never in a million years get an opportunity to meet if it wasn't for the fact that you were involved in Rotary. So network has been amazing. Relationship building. This is important as you transition out of university and into your career path. Oftentimes people join organizations because they think it's going to create business for them. Rotary is not a business development network. Rotary is a service organization. So it's about relationship building. It's not about trying to figure out how you can get business from somebody. Now, having said that, if you build good relationships and you need a product or service and someone is a Rotarian, the likelihood is you'll do business with that person than not. But that's not the intent. So think about that in terms of relationship building. Certainly leadership development, and both Pollyanna and Keith have referred to that. That's how it's helped me succeed. And certainly exposure to so many different opportunities. Working in Rotary as a volunteer is basically a living resume. You build skills, you meet people, you learn leadership skills. It's just an incredible way to build a resume, and it's a living, breathing resume as opposed to just something on paper. Oftentimes I hear students talk about the fact that, well, I don't have any experience. Well, if you build that volunteer experience through a network of Rotaract, you bring that experience to the table, and those are transferable skills that any employer is looking for. So those are really important things to measure up. I've got a phrase when I talk about volunteerism. If you want to break in, you have to get involved. And the way you get involved is think about strategically, who do you have? A company? Do you have a person? Do you have a CEO? Is there someone you want to meet with? Well, the likelihood is pretty high that they may be involved in Rotary. So how can you get involved in a service project or something that you're going to work hand in hand, side by side, someone filling hampers at the food bank, whatever it might be. So use Rotary as your opportunity to get out and network and meet key people in your community to help you break in by you getting involved. So that's a really important thing that you need to work on. So offering some of my advice, use this volunteer opportunity to expand your network. And to everyone else's points, don't be shy to just put yourself out there. Just say yes. If someone poses a volunteer question for you, hey, who'd like to help out with this? Hey, can we get some people to volunteer for that? Just say yes. If there's no downside, if time and opportunity present itself, just go for it. Just do it. Learn new skills, and you'll do that simply by getting involved in doing those hands-on projects. You will learn new skills. I would also like you to research and better understand the breadth and scope of Rotary International. One of the things that's changed recently is Rotaractors are now considered Rotarians. We've changed the language a little bit. We now refer to everyone as members of Rotary, as opposed to stigmatizing or I'm an interactor, I'm a Rotaractor, I'm a Rotarian. No, we're all members of Rotary. And so I think that's an important distinction that we're doing within our language. And here's the other thing, and Keith has already spoken to this. Don't let finishing school be the end of your Rotary journey. That should be the start. Some of you have been in Interact, and that's awesome. But Rotaract could be the start of your Rotary journey. And join a community-based Rotary club, which Keith has done. The other way you can do that is start your own cause-based Rotary club. If you have a group of people who have a passion and a cause, maybe it's environmental, maybe it's LGBTQ issues, whatever it might be, you could start a cause-based Rotary club that speaks to those specific issues that you have passion and interest in. So your Rotary journey and your Rotaract journey should not end when you finish school. That should be the start of a long journey, and I hope that's the case for all of you. I have one final comment that I always like to end with. Keep going, because you didn't come this far to only come this far. So I'll finish there, and thank you very much for the opportunity to present, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much. Okay, so yeah, we have some time now for questions. If anyone has anything, if not, I can ask something first, but I'll let other people ask things in case they have questions.
I have a question for Brent.
Yeah. Hi, Justin.
Hi, Brent. Thanks for speaking here tonight. That was awesome. So Rotary, of course, is filled with huge wins. I'm sure across your 25 years, you've seen quite a few. Can I ask you if there's any times where you felt that you took a loss, or maybe something wasn't as planned, and how did Rotary deal with that, or how did you deal with that?
Sure, and you're right. Way more successes than not. But not everything you do, and that's the whole point, right? You try things and see what works, and you tweak and you change. We tried to organize. Well, we did organize a fun run last year for Polio Plus, and we spread it right across the district. And we asked clubs in all of the towns and cities to, get involved. We organized it through the running room. People could sign up. They paid a fee, and part of that money went to the Foundation for Polio Plus. People could donate extra money for that. We were a little disappointed we did not get the uptake that we had hoped for. We thought this would be a no-brainer, easy to do. We had projected upwards of 120 runners or so. I think we got 30. So you never know, right? You put it out there and you hope things work. But one of the things about Rotary International is they're not. Rotary is a ground up, is a bottom up organization. It's not a top down organization. Everything that happens in Rotary that makes a difference happens at the club level. When you get to the district and the zone and international, we're about support. We're not about dictating. We're not about telling people how their clubs need to function. It's all ground up, and it's all about, the people in the club level coming up with new initiatives, coming up with service project ideas, and executing as best as they can. Not everything works. Turn the page and work for something else. So maybe I'll share one quick success story to go along with that. My club has been involved for 25 years with what we call a medical mission to Ecuador. And we have an orthopedic surgeon who every year for 25 years has gone with 50 hockey bags of prosthetics. And they do orthopedic surgery, club feet, hip replacement, knee replacement surgery. And we have a great video of a lady that they literally had to carry her in. And at the end of it, we went back a year later and she was dancing the salsa. So it just incredible change that we make in the world and the hope we bring to people all around the world. So two great stories to share.
Thanks for answering.
That's a very awesome answer. So I just have a question for you, Pollyann. So when you joined Rotary in your first year, did you kind of know you wanted to climb the ladder, or is that something you kind of just found out as you realized how much you loved it?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Okay, I'll answer this in like two parts. So first year in Rotary ever, so like in grade 10, as an interactor, as I mentioned, like I had a lot of, self-doubt in terms of like, no, I can't do this, I can't do this. But the president at the time, she was such a sweet girl, and she was so friendly and so admirable. And I think it was like the thought of like, I want to be like her stemmed more like I actually want to be this person who's like so nice and so friendly and so likable. And even like when I became Interact president, I kind of like thought about her leadership style. So I guess in a sense she was my role model. But yeah, I guess in terms of like actually pursuing it, in terms of like me wanting the leadership like ladder role, I don't think I actually really wanted to pursue it, but yeah. I just ended up liking it. And as I progressed on with Rotary, I just wanted to participate more and more. And here I am, current president of Rotaract. So I love it.
I definitely think you're probably a role model for a lot of other people now in that same way.
So sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. Does anyone else have some questions? Oh my gosh, guys, not all at once. Okay, me again. Let me ask another question. So Pollyann and Kate, I'll ask you here. What are your suggestions for engaging Rotaract members in a way that would motivate them to continue their service journey with Rotary after graduating?
That's a really good question. That's a really hard question too. This is something that like I think we struggle with in Rotaract in general. And it's probably one of like my bigger goals as like a Rotaractor in a community club, because there's something really beautiful about following your peers from university into, like I mentioned, that like career like lifestyle. What I would say is just like ask and open opportunities up for people. So like I said, like the reason I became president of the UofA club, sorry, if you can hear whining, that's the dog. Yeah, like the reason I became president of the club is because someone suggested it. So never feel afraid of like telling someone that they'd be good at something or suggesting an idea, like joining a community club after university. Yeah, and also like being a role model. Like I think the easiest way to get people to go somewhere is with you. So if you're like, I'm going to be part of a community club, hey, you and you and you and everyone, come with me. We're going to go like be part of this club. We're going to go make our own club. We're going to hold on to this group together and just be welcoming. And, people are going to want to be around you if you're creating that expectation that you're a fun person to be around, you listen to their ideas, and you want them to be there with you, because of course you do, they're your friends. Yeah, that's a hard one though. I think we can do better in our district for sure.
My answer to that question, good question. I would say to provide more incentives. And that doesn't necessarily mean like an expensive incentive, like, oh, like our club will go to Europe or something, like for a conference, like, nothing super big like that. It could even just be like a simple incentive, like, like as Kate said, like providing that warm environment for people to want to be in that club. And, I guess in a more strategic sense, it's like a lot of our members join Rotaract because they have the incentive to get experience and volunteer experience and, things to put on the resume. And that's why they, start initially, to join Rotaract, and then they just find to love it so much that they continue on, even though they have already surpassed that goal. So yeah, just having that incentive to provide to people, because that will go a long way in terms of people wanting to be involved, and then later on they will stay. So yeah.
Allison, can I jump in on that answer? One
Yeah,
of the statistics that you may not be aware of is the transition from Rotaract to Rotary is very low. It's very low, which is surprising to us because as you've described your experience and your wonderful opportunities that you experienced as a Rotaractor, you would think there would be an automatic transition into Rotary. Now, remember, you can stay a part of a community Rotaract club for a long time after university. But what I'd look for is stepping into a governor role, is looking for you to help talk that up, to get more Rotaractors transitioning into Rotary, because it expands your network, it expands opportunities. Through Rotary, I've had the privilege of traveling all around the world. Was down in Houston. I just got back from Orlando. I'm going to Australia. Like it's incredible the opportunities that you get through Rotary to expand your network and the breadth and scope. So I would ask of you is to help me get more Rotaractors transitioning into Rotary from their Rotaract experience.
Yeah, I definitely think all the support that we get from Rotary clubs definitely kind of helps Rotaractors know more about it and be interested in after graduation as well.
And I had a question for all three of our speakers. What has been the most memorable Rotary experience that you've had? Some of you already touched a little bit about some of your favorite parts, but honestly, the good and the bad, it would be great to hear about that.
Let me jump in first because Pollyanna and I might have a similar point. My wife and I had the privilege of being aides to Rotary International President Jennifer Jones when she came. And that means that we got to meet them at the airport, drive them around, take them everywhere, hang out with them. You can't appreciate that the Rotary International President sits down with kings, prime ministers, popes. She went from Edmonton to Vancouver to India to meet with Prime Minister of India. Like the people that an international president hangs out with is beyond our understanding and expectation. Here we are hanging out, driving around, talking golf, kicking around with the international president. It was absolutely the highlight of my Rotary career.
I absolutely agree, Brent. I will have to say that I was definitely fangirling when I saw Jennifer Jones. I was squealing like a little girl. I was like, I can't believe Jennifer Jones is here. And yeah, that's definitely a highlight of my Rotary experience. But I guess another experience for mine, I would always choose like all the friendships that I've made and all that, but we're not going to go that route this time. I'm actually going to be more specific. So as I mentioned in my presentation, I had the opportunity to go to the International Peace and Environmental Sustainability Conference. And yeah, that was held in Vancouver, I believe 2017. And yeah, it was so memorable for me because not only because of the experience itself, like what I learned from the conference and like the people that I've met, it was more so like the prior experience to like actually going, because as I mentioned, there was this opportunity that was provided to me, and I just decided to hold on to that because I was like, there's a reason why this is being offered to me right now. And, I was competing because there were 2 spots, and I was competing against like grade 12s. And, I was at the time I was a grade 10. But I was like, no, there's no way, like, these overachiever like grade 12s, there's no way that I can like, get that spot against them. But, I suppose, Fort St. John Rotarians just saw the potential in my application to attend this conference. And they sent me, and it was just such an amazing experience. I got to, I actually met Tamara Larson at this conference, and, we always just like reminisce about the time, because we took, what we did was we drove from Fort St. John to Edmonton, and then we took the train, like the Via Rail train from Edmonton to Vancouver. And that was 36 hours delayed. So we actually missed a full day of the conference. And the train ride itself was like 20, 30 hours. Like, it was a long experience. And, even though it was quite long and, exhausting, it was still really fun and energizing being a part of like that experience. And yeah, just traveling with other Rotarians and Rotary members. So yeah, that was my highlight of my Rotary journey.
Allison, I apologize. I have to go off. I've got another Rotary call at 7 o'clock. So I got to jump on from this Zoom call to another Zoom call. So
Okay.
apologize, but thank you for inviting me, and thanks. And it's so great to talk to everybody on the call, and wish you all the best. And I will be coming to your meetings whenever I can. So
Thank
look
you so
forward to that.
much.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye. Okay, Kate, you can answer.
Yeah, mine was we used to go on Rotaract camping trip. So fun, so fun. Like, I've had a lot of fun at like conferences and meetings and like hanging out with Rotaract friends, but like that camping trip, oh man, good memories. I tell stories about it still. And yeah, there's something really special about like making lifelong friends. Sorry, the dog shut off the light and now she's sitting with me. So here we are, but you can't see her. Yeah, anyway, I think that's probably one of my favorites for sure.
All right. So if there's like any last questions or anything like that, but if not, then we'll probably wrap this up. Okay. Yeah, so we just have a question from Arena. She just said, I was wondering about the consent carnival thing that Kate mentioned. I'm a consent awareness club at school, and I'd love to hear how that carnival works. So, yeah, whoever kind of wants to take it. I mean, obviously all of us kind of know about it. So you're good, whoever wants to.
I can talk about kind of how it started if Pollyann wants to talk about where it's ended up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the consent carnival was an idea from a member in 2016 who had dealt with like basically sexual assault, like a non-consensual relationship. And it was a problem that she mentioned to a friend in the club. And the solution was, why don't we talk about consent on campus and share with people what consent is? Because yes, it's a simple idea, but I don't think that society necessarily sets us up for success in talking about consent and sexual relationships all the time. Yeah, so we created a carnival, and it is like a really fun way to like share and like talk about sex and talk about like what consent means to people. And yeah, and then yeah, Pollyann, you tell us more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Consent Carnival this year was actually quite scary, because like all of our, like the majority of our members this year are all new members. So this was like after COVID, post-COVID, because like we kind of had to put a pause in Consent Carnival, and we were like, oh my God, like this is such like a big Rotaract tradition, and we don't want to mess this up, but like we don't have any experience in it. So we kind of yeah, we followed like the good traditions and all like the big traditions. But yeah, I think literally the only thing that changed were the activities, and the message of like, the importance of consent, of course, still remains the same. And yeah, it was so widely liked by the campus. Even like, I think it was really, you really catch someone's attention when you have a massive poster of a vagina in the middle of your school. So a lot of people like walking to their campus, or like their classes, they just like see this huge poster and they're like, what is going on? Like, so of course they want to come and like check it out. So yeah, it was a really fun day that day. Even people that didn't know about this event prior were there. So it's just a really, really successful event. So thank you, Kate, for chartering this event. And yeah, I really look forward to having this and many more years to come.
And it wasn't me that started it. I joined the club and it was the first thing happening. And I stayed at that old president's apartment until 1 a.m. making posters on my first meeting day. So legacy. But yeah, no, it wasn't my idea. I just gotta like paint pictures on posters.
Yeah, and I'll just really quickly add, just in case, so like for the actual events that happens during Consent Carnival, we usually do like free cotton candy. So that's always a big thing that people come out for. As well as we have like a whole kind of like big 2 tables that are filled with like information, condoms, like kind of like things that you might not know, things about like STDs, stuff like that. As well as like there's kind of more like fun carnival activities. There's kind of like a Wheel of Wonder type thing. So yeah, it's a pretty fun event. And it's one of the big ones we do besides our Rotary Action for Change. But yeah, if you do have more questions though, you could definitely contact the Rotaract email and ask anything else. Okay. Yeah, so if anyone else has questions, but if not, it is a little bit over time. So we can definitely also just wrap up. But good to stay for any more minutes. Okay. Very cool. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you so much to the speakers for coming. It was really inspiring to hear your guys' journeys. And I'm sure everyone else felt the same way.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.